Hello, good day. My name is Roy Vincent Lucky Mugtay, and for today we're going to talk about assessment strategies and multiple intelligence. So, what is assessment strategies? Learning is an integral part of our life. In a classroom, it becomes a demanding process. It requires active participation from both ends. This continuous involvement is necessary to produce effective results. The entire learning process needs to be verified at regular intervals. It will allow us to generate good results. Furthermore, this verification allows us to upgrade and update the process. As a result, desirable results can be achieved. Various forms of assessments are used for this verification. They are called assessment strategies. Assessment strategy. It refers to different tools and techniques employed by the instructor to evaluate their student. This evaluation is important to gather awareness for the following. Identify the strengths of the learner. Identify the weakness of the learner. Recognize the unique learning needs of an individual learner. Track the progress of the learner. Collect feedback for the current teaching methods employed by the learner in the form of its effectiveness. This reflects how the process of assessment is indeed an important one. There are two approaches for assessment strategies. The education system has many significant changes over the years. This has called for developments in the evaluating process. Consequently, many changes have been introduced. This leads us to roughly two approaches to the process. These approaches are traditional forms of assessments and new forms of assessment, peer evaluation, and self-assessment strategies. So here is Clarence Dumongo to give us an explanation about the two approaches. Clarence?
Thank you, Roy. By the way, I am Clarence B. Dumago and I will discuss the traditional forms of assessment. This includes the usual tests, exams, assignments, quizzes methods employed by the educator. These are the common forms of assessment. Along with these, students are also familiar with them. They form a major part of the assessment strategies adopted by the Indian education system. However, as the name suggests, the approach is conventional. Along with this, educators find it limiting in multiple ways. It includes the inability to assess various parameters of the learning process. This need of the hour leads to the emergence of new, innovative methods. New forms of assessment. This includes a vast range of methods that are creative and authentic in nature. They cater to the new needs of the curriculum and the educators. Examples of this advanced approach are portfolios, exhibitions, performances, etc. Benjamin Franklin, one of the founding fathers of the United States, made another important point. He said that, "Tell me and I forget. Teach me and I may remember. Involve me and I learn." The line mentioned above clearly highlights the importance of the involvement in the learning process. This is what many educational theorists believe today. According to them, increased involvement implies increased students' participation. This has motivated many teachers to adopt peer evaluation or self-assessment strategies. Peer evaluation and self-assessment strategies. Peer evaluation method or peer classmates correct the students' work. In this technique, along with this, the instructions and the answers provided by the teacher are to keep in mind. There are several benefits to this method. Some of these benefits are: first, saves the teacher's time. Second, ensures the faster feedback to the students. Third, creates a healthy learning environment. And fourth, students are more likely to remember the answers after assuming the role of a teacher. Next is the self-assessment strategies. There are various tools and techniques that students themselves can employ. It will help them assess and improve. Hence, these methods are called self-assessment strategies. Formal and informal assessment strategies. Many unique forms of evaluations are used in different situations for their unique purposes. Such categories are as follows. Formal assessment strategies. These are the more systematic form of evaluation. They are data-driven and provide statistics for every student's performances. The data is mathematically computed and reviewed. Scores such as percentiles, standard scores, etc. are derived as results. A few examples of this mode of assessments are: first, aptitude test, second, standardized test, and third, examinations. Informal assessment strategies. It refers to the more spontaneous methods of assessments. They can be also integrated with daily classroom activities. Moreover, they are content and the performance driven. Examples are oral presentations, journaling, crossword puzzles, and drama. Educators receive essential feedback in via these methods, while keeping the track with the progress of the learners. Additionally, this can act as a revision of the concept taught. It can also aid students in a complete understanding of the concepts. When and where should these strategies be adapted? Formal assessment strategies can be used to track the overall progress of the students. The statistics also allow a comparison of an individual learner with the other of his age and grade. It facilitates recognizing the strengths and weaknesses of one student against their peers. On the other hand, the informal assessment strategies can help enhance the day-to-day learning process in classrooms. This is possible as it allows us to monitor progress through simple methods on a daily basis. This improves learning instruction. In short, a formal model of assessment is to be used at different intervals for distinct purposes. Need and importance of assessment strategies. The significance of learning in a familiar tool. Firstly, we should include assessments as a natural part of learning process. Subsequently, we will understand its role. This will be possible when we realize how both complement each other. First is the assessment for learning. Education will lose its significance if the learning imparted resulted is in no use. To ensure the same, it is necessary to check what the students have learned. This is where assessment acts as checkpoint to ensure the authenticity of the concept. In the case of poor teaching methods or the ability to understand the concepts taught, teachers can receive sufficient feedbacks. This will further them plan efficiently. The cycle of this feedback will continue and the students can receive the same for themselves. Next is the assessment as learning. Student can use results and choose a direction for themselves. The awareness created by such an evaluation can help them work on their strengths and weaknesses. They can make changes accordingly. Moreover, this will inculcate a sense of responsibility for their actions. Such lessons will help them beyond their academic and careers. Lastly is the assessments of learning. The larger education community receives these results as an achievement. News of the results spread rapidly as it a mark of success of the education system as large. This celebrates the idea of the progress which is inherent to learning. On a broader level, assessment and learning are progressive. This is because they keep the very concept of knowledge active. This enthusiastic approach gives birth to a competitive spirit. This is how we reach milestones. How is assessment a learning tool? From discoveries to inventions, all of them are fundamental to the progress of human civilization. they are all backed up by curiosity and sense of achievement. The curiosity component has helped in expanding the field of research and development. Students are also to figure out their goals. Moreover, this goal-oriented approach helps them unfold their interest. Additionally, it expands the expertise in the field. The concept of assessments adds a rewarding element. This not only motivates the learners, but it allows the education community to march towards a more developing society. All these achievements are a result of making educational community that the system more active. Unlike earlier times, this has ensured an educated, motivated population rather than a few scholars. Moreover, an evolving culture forms the basic objective of learning. A motionless world is equal to the Dark Ages. Similarly, the need and importance of assessment strategies are synonymous if we understand how it's equal to learning. But most importantly, assessment in itself is a learning tool. Next topic is the different types of assessment strategies. To adopt this tool of evaluation in teaching methods, it's important to understand it in detail. This integrated approach will guide educators. It will be in the form of teaching them to adopt the correct method for different purposes. These various methods are important as they are different assessments for learning strategies. While students equate only tests or exams with assessments, it's not the same with the educators. The learning body might face difficulty when it comes to tests. However, tests are multifaceted. Instructors don't limit it to periodic tests. A teacher conducts such tests every day. This can be before a lesson is taught or even after. This leads to different types of assessments. First is diagnostic assessment, second, formative assessment, third, interim assessment or benchmark assessment, fifth, summative assessment, and then let's move on to what are the diagnostic assessments. A teacher employs this assessment strategy as the beginning of any unit. In simpler terms, they are pre-tests. This method acts as a detector. It helps identify how familiar are students with a particular topic. The teacher can learn about the degree of awareness among students for various topics and themes. This is evident from the name diagnosis. The word means to analyze and examine the condition of a situation. This is exactly what a teacher does in a class. This helps the teacher to influence their lesson planning. Subsequently, they can dedicate more or less time to a topic. It also creates a curious environment in the classroom. Learners will be more motivated to learn about the same. Some might even read about the same before the class and ease the process. Components of diagnostic assessments. First is undertaking during the introduction of a new unit, lesson, theme, etc. Second, the motive is to estimate the learner's current knowledge on a topic. This allows them to then convey effective instruction. Third, realize the areas that needs improvement. Along with this, phrasing the strengths. And fourth, mostly included the informal assessments without any score or grade. Example, an instructor is starting a new unit on the Indian independence. She or he can take a multiple choice question test or even an oral quiz regarding the same. If the students are aware of the famous figure, then she can quickly give a short lecture on the same. If the students are not familiar with the timeline, then the teacher should explain in detail and spend more time on this. This helps her in framing an effective lesson plan according to her specific needs. Difference between diagnostic and formative assessment. Both types of assessments aid mentors to instruct effectively. This means they serve the same purpose. This is to identify the areas that demand more time and attention. However, they are taken at different times. Conversely, diagnostic assessments are taken in the beginning. This helps in understanding the student's knowledge of a topic. Additionally, it puts to test what they have learned in the past. The two methods are indeed different and effective for their unique purposes. Also, formative assessments are mostly formal, unlike diagnostic assessments. As a result, formative assessments are used for grading purposes. So what are formative assessments? The Latin word formare, which means to form, gave birth to the word formative, whereas assessments implies the process of evaluation. The two combines to form an assessment strategy that helps in shaping and guiding learners. The learning process and these assessments go parallel to each other. The aim is to identify the problems and provide the immediate solutions. In simpler words, teachers can form an instruction that are more beneficial to the students. Mostly, this type of evaluation is formal. Moreover, it helps in determining whether the students are on the right pace or what is in the right place. Components of formative assessment strategies. The key aspects of these types are: first, provide an easy update on the learning status. Second, quick feedback for teachers regarding a student's understanding of concepts. Third, periodical review of learning. Fourth, low stakes assessments, which means less weightage in the final result. And fifth, conducted in multiple ways: presentations, short tests, quizzes, diagram, exercises, and etc. Examples: after completing a few topics for the Indian Independence Unit, a teacher can take an evaluation. If the students include popular figures, timelines, and various movements, then the questions should revolve around the same. This can be in the form of classroom discussion, quiz, or presentation. These are what we call formative assessment strategies. However, if the students are still not able to understand the timeline, then the teacher can devote more time to it. As a result, the lesson plan can be changed. Hence, the formative assessment strategy come to play. And that would be all. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Clarence. Here is Nair Luha for the Howard-Gardner theory of multiple intelligence.
Hi, I am Naira Julian P. Loha, and what is multiple intelligence? Over the past few decades, research in the field of learning has led to the discovery of the theory of multiple intelligences. In short, this theory states that each person has different ways of learning and different intelligences they use in their daily lives. While some can learn very well in linguistically based environment or reading and writing, others are better taught through mathematical logic-based learning. Still, others benefit most from body kinesthetic intelligence or learning by doing with the hands. Each person possesses each intelligence to an extent, but there is always a primary or more dominant intelligence. Howard Gardner's theory of multiple intelligence. Howard Gardner of Harvard University originally identified 7 distinct intelligences. According to Gardner, this theory, which emerged from cognitive research, documents the extent to which students possess different kinds of minds and therefore learn, remember, perform, and understand in different ways. In greater detail, the theory proposes that we are all able to know the world through language, logical mathematical analysis, spatial representation, musical thinking, the use of the body to solve problems or to make things, an understanding of other individuals, and an understanding of ourselves. Where individuals differ is in the strength of these intelligences and the ways in which such intelligences are invoked and combined to carry out different tasks, solve diverse problems, and progress in various domains. And Hanny Morgan 2014 support Gardner's theory. Morgan's research indicated that differentiated instruction benefits all students, but must be presented by well-prepared, experienced, and knowledgeable teachers. This diversity, according to Gardner, should impact the way people are educated. He stated that these differences challenge an educational system that assumes that everyone can learn the same materials in the same way and that a uniform, universal measure suffices to test students' learning. Joanne Hanifin, an Irish researcher, determined in a 2014 publication that the outdated system of education in Ireland was adversely affecting students in the long term by not embracing multiple methods of teaching based on different intelligences. Students often left school feeling undervalued. This diversity, according to Gardner, should impact the way people are educated. He stated that these differences challenge an educational system that assumes that everyone can learn the same materials in the same way and that a uniform, universal measure suffices to test students' learning. Gardner goes on to say that, indeed, as currently constituted, our educational system is heavily biased toward linguistic modes of instruction and assessment, and to a somewhat lesser degree toward logical quantitative modes as well. What are the 9 multiple intelligences? Gardner claims that all human beings have multiple intelligences. These multiple intelligences can be nurtured and strengthened, or ignored and weakened. His research from 1991 identified 7 intelligences. In the intervening time, he has come to believe there are a total of 9 intelligences. Verbal or linguistic intelligence. Well-developed verbal skills and sensitivity to the sounds, meanings, and rhythms of words. Mathematical or logical intelligence. The ability to think conceptually and abstractly, and the capacity to discern logical or numerical patterns. Musical intelligence. The ability to produce and appreciate rhythm, pitch, and timbre. Visual or spatial intelligence. The capacity to think in images and pictures to visualize accurately and abstractly. Bodily or kinesthetic intelligence. The ability to control one's body movements and to handle objects skillfully. Interpersonal intelligence. The capacity to detect and respond appropriately to the moods, motivations, and desires of others. Intrapersonal intelligence. The capacity of the self-aware and in tune with feelings, values, beliefs, and thinking processes. Naturalist intelligence. The ability to recognize and categorize plants, animals, and other objects in nature. Existential intelligence. The sensitivity and capacity to tackle deep questions about human existence, such as the meaning of life, why we die, and how we got here. While all people possess some level of each intelligence. Most will experience more dominant intelligences that impact the way they learn and interact with the world around them.
Wow, that was awesome, Myra. Thank you. Next, Ira Anibong for multiple intelligence and learning styles.
Hello, I am Ira Anibong from BPED 2A, and today I am going to discuss about the multiple intelligences and learning styles. Multiple intelligences is a theory that describes the various ways in which students learn and acquire information. These multiple intelligences includes the use of learning styles such as visuals, printed word, sound, motion, color, ReLIA, instructional setting, learner characteristics, reading ability, categories of learning outcomes, events of instruction, and performance. The first learning style that we have here is visual. Visual media helps students acquire concrete concepts such as object identification, spatial relationships, or motor skills. Visual learning focuses on what we can see, so it includes anything that is looked at or watched. Learners that prefer visual learning prefer to see things rather than hearing or experiencing them to aid in their learning. The second learning styles that we have is printed words. So while the printed word is the most common method of dispensing information, some argue that audio is superior. Print learners think in words. They learn to read quickly and can readily remember the correct spelling of words. When you ask a print learner if an elephant is gray, the first thing that comes to his mind is the term elephant, followed by what he's seen in a book about the animal. The third learning styles that we have is sound. Sound media offers a stimulus recognition or recall. Audio narration is a useful tool for students who struggle with reading. You learn by hearing and listening if you are an auditory learner. You comprehend and recall what you've heard. You remember information based on how it sounds, and you grasp spoken instructions better than written instructions. Let's proceed now to the next learning style, which is the motion. Motion depicts human performances so that learners can copy the movement. The kinesthetic method can be essential for understanding some subject matter. The next learning style is color. Choices on color display are required if it is essential to what is being learned. The way your brain functions and employs color to develop pattern recognition, recall, and observing new information has an impact on your learning. It can also help you search, compare, interpret, and recall information more quickly by providing visual guidance. And then we have ReLIA. ReLIA teaches cognitive and motor skills with objects. ReLIA can be used with individual or groups, depending on the situation. ReLIA may be used to present information realistically or with the way learners internalize information. Simply said, ReLIA is a term that refers to real-life objects that are used in the classroom to teach a particular idea. ReLIA can be real or virtual, as long as it is anything that is used in the real world. And now we have instructional setting. Design must include what materials are being used as well as the environment in which it is to be taught. Printed materials should be individualized to allow the learner to set the pace. From kindergarten to post-secondary education, learning style-based education, which focuses on auditory or visual learners, is prevalent practice. Learning styles are based on the idea that teaching to a student's preferred learning styles leads in optimal learning. And now we have the learner characteristic. Teaching models must consider learner characteristics, as media may be interpreted in various ways by different learners. Research has not provided definitive methods in matching the media most suitable for types of learners. Learner characteristics can be personal, academic, social or emotional, and/or cognitive in nature. And now we have the reading ability. Pictures aid learning for poor readers who understand spoken words rather than printed words. Good readers can control the pace, and print allows for easier review. Students who are learning to read and write are at home with written materials. They are capable of comprehending and remembering what they read, and they frequently like writing. Provide written directions if you want a reading or writing learner to come to your home. Categories of learning outcomes. Categories range from 3 to 11 and most include some or all of Ganya's learning categories: intellectual skills, motor skills, verbal information, overall attitudes, and use of cognitive strategies. And then we have the events of instruction. Teachers have to choose the external events which support internal learning with events of instruction. This occurs in the planning stage and before selection of appropriate media. In economic disciplines, learning style influences learning outcomes through learning motivation, implying that students with a visual learning style and learning motivation will achieve higher learning outcomes than students with auditory and kinesthetic learning styles. Ganya suggests 9 events that can be used to enhance student learning: gain attention, inform learners of objectives, simulate cell of prior learning, present stimulus, provide learner guidance, elicit performance, provide feedback, assess performance, and enhance retention. And the last learning style that we have is performance. It is important for students to perform tasks that demonstrate learning and retention. The elicited performance can be categorized by type: covert, overt, motor, verbal, constructed, and select. Media should be selected to correspond with the desired outcome. And that's it for the multiple intelligence and learning styles. Thank you so much for listening.
Good job, Ira. Thank you. Next, multiple intelligence in the classroom. Educators have positively responded to Gardner's theory. It has been embraced by a range of educational theorists and significantly applied by teachers and policymakers to the problems of schooling. Many schools in North America have sought to structure curricula according to the intelligence and to design classrooms, even whole schools, to reflect the understandings that Howard Gardner's developed. All intelligence are needed to live life well. Teachers, therefore, need to attend to all intelligence, not just the first year of verbal linguistic or mathematical logical intelligence, which have historically taken precedence. Multiple intelligence activities. One of the most significant results of the theory of multiple intelligence is how it was provided 8 different potential pathways to learning. If a teacher is having difficulty reaching students in the more traditional linguistic or logical ways of instruction, the theory of multiple intelligence suggests several other ways in which the material might be presented to facilitate effective learning. And these are words, linguistic intelligence; numbers or logic, logical mathematical intelligence; pictures, spatial intelligence; music, musical intelligence; self-reflection, intrapersonal intelligence; a physical experience, bodily kinesthetic intelligence; a social experience, interpersonal intelligence; an experience in the natural world, naturalist intelligence. You don't have to teach or learn something in all 8 ways. However, simply knowing the possibilities available can enable you to decide which particular pathways interest you the most or seem the most effective teaching or learning tools. The theory of multiple intelligence is so intriguing because it expands our horizon of available teaching and learning tools beyond the conventional linguistic and logic methods used in most schools. For example, lecture, textbooks, writing assignments, formulas, and etc. Multiple intelligence, new horizons. Understanding different teaching approaches from which we all can learn, as well as toolbox with a variety of ways to present content to students, is valuable for increasing the accessibility of learning experiences for all students. We want to continue to develop this toolbox, so it is especially important to gather ongoing information about students' strengths and challenges, as well as their developing interests and dislikes. Providing different learning contexts for students and engaging a variety of their senses is supported by current research. Studies done by Hamari et al. 2016 suggest that engaging in learning games has a positive effect on learning. Educational video games may be an effective means of posing learning challenges that are perceived as interesting and enjoyable, resulting in engagement and immersion in the game-based learning task. As our insatiable curiosity about learning process persists and studies continue to evolve, additional scientific research may emerge that further elaborates on multiple intelligence and learning styles. How do we benefit from understanding multiple intelligence? When educators are given the freedom to move away from the traditional, visually based methods of teaching, they will have the opportunity to reach more students more effectively. By teaching to the dominant learning intelligence, teachers will find students to be more productive, more perceptive, and more willing to engage in the learning process. As so many educators have already embraced this theory, it is time for educational administrators to take notice of new techniques that can be successful based on the research of Howard, Gardner, and the other researchers who have followed. Identify the intelligence in your classroom. Understanding and adapting your teaching style to your students can help everyone succeed. Our Masters of Arts in Education degree program incorporates courses where you can identify and build upon such multiple intelligence. That's it. Thank you for listening and for watching our topic that we have discussed today. I hope you understand and learn from it. Thank you and have a nice day.